The Boys, a show that's been running for 7 years, 5 seasons. I often describe it to people who haven't heard of it as what if superheroes were real and they were assholes? Because a lot of people are, and corporations manufactured and exploited them. Now The Boys has just wrapped up its season finale, so the question is, did the show stick to landing? The short answer is yes. It stuck the landing the way a drunken pilot lands the plane, scrapes the side of the building, the wheel comes off, and it catches on fire, but nobody was hurt. So let's look at what went wrong and what went right with The Boys. So first, let's talk about the Deep. He did get the ending he deserved, and if you would have asked me, it wouldn't have been on my bingo card that he would last all the way to the final episode. For me, though, it's the way they went about it. We all knew that he would most likely fight Starlight, and he does. But then she knocks him to the beach and into the water, where he would be most powerful. There is no way Starlight would know that all the fish in the sea are trying to kill the Deep. So this is either a case of Starlight just trying to get the Deep to run away, Starlight being really stupid, or being really arrogant and thinking she could take him no matter what, or the most likely case, the writers just kind of forgot. Also, Mother's Milk. He never got to get his revenge on Soldier Boy because we have to have Soldier Boy spinoffs. The Gen V kids. Gen V ended recently, and I didn't expect it to go for another season, but I firmly thought that they would be rolled into the final season of The Boys and then on the spinoffs. All they did was basically drive a truck to Canada. Pretty wasted. Ryan, he was barely in this season and could have been utilized more. Now that we got the little things out of the way, let's talk about the big ones. If you look at the show's promotional material, it set up this epic battle. We got Homelander looking at the world like it's gonna be destroyed. We have Butcher at Vought like it's gonna be destroyed. There's even a picture where Homelander has a whole bunch of superheroes behind him. And leading up to this throughout this season, there were two major plot points. A virus that could wipe out superheroes, and V1, which would make Homelander immortal and stronger. And to the writer's credit, a couple episodes back, Homelander got the V1, which I wasn't expecting. So in my mind, I thought, wow, there is a chance he could win. But at minimum, with all the promotional material we've seen, I'm like, man, this battle is going to be epic. After all, we've seen many times Homelander fantasize about just lasering crowds of people. I personally was expecting, at minimum, Omni-Man versus Mark, kind of like the end of the first season of Invincible, just not as big of a scale because it's live action. But instead, what we got is a little scuffle in the office. This isn't even the best fight in the entire show, and it was very lackluster. In fact, if anything, V1 makes me think Homelander was nerfed. And then we get this cliche Wizard of Oz style thing between Frenchie and Kimiko, where it's like, just click your heels together and you can go home anytime you wanted to. The power's always been with you. And she lets out her blast, and then Homelander doesn't have his powers. Now, I've seen a lot of debate about this part online, but my biggest issue with this is we have been building toward this moment. And I understand that Homelander is a bitch without his powers. I mean, there's no dispute about that. But to have him sit there and say, I'll suck this and eat that, that just takes the entire moment and tries to make it comedy. And it's bad comedy. I'm sorry. If you were gonna do comedy like that, why not just have Butcher say, okay, you're pathetic, you can go, and then have a fucking Looney Tunes safe drop on his head? It's just a bridge too far to me. I don't know what I was expecting from a show that thinks exploding penises as weapons, and people dressed up as cats and dogs sniffing each other's butts would somehow have some kind of sophisticated writing. Not to mention, earlier in the exact same episode, they make a joke about Homelander basically taking a billionaire that's supposed to be like Elon Musk into space. And even that's not funny because they couldn't be bothered to spend the money to actually show it. That would have actually been funny, but no. For some reason, Amazon decided to go cheap, I guess. Now, one thing that's always been good about this show is they don't really follow the comics. But for some reason, they decided to do it this time. Because Butcher, first of all, he talks to Ryan, who, by the way, was depowered and is a natural-born soup. So either he lied to Butcher or, again, we forgot. But Ryan basically tells Butcher, I don't like you, you're horrible, I'm not going to hang out with you and your dog. You go your own way. And then Butcher looks at his dog, and his dog is dead. So that's when Butcher decides to do a John Wick moment and thinks to himself, I'm going to wipe out all the superheroes on the planet. I have no idea why they decided to go this route. If they were going to do cliche stuff and not follow the comic books anyway, why not just have Butcher have a happy ending? Or how about Homelander did unleash an army of supes and then Butcher tries to unleash the virus to stop them in the big epic fight that didn't happen? It just annoys me to no end when I'm online and I see posts and videos of people trying to defend this. And whenever I see it, I just... But hey, it's not all bad. The things the show did get right is Mother's Milk ending. He got to go and be with his family. Sister Sage, she got exactly what she wanted and took off to Harry Potter land. Huey and Starlight, they have their own business, they're about to have a baby. Stan Edgar is in charge of Vought again because we have to have more spin-offs. I don't necessarily see that as a bad thing, even though the original premise of the show was Vought was the villain, but I can overlook that one just because who knows what good content we may get out of it. And Ashley, finally growing a set and helping the boys get into the Oval Office. And then she had the funniest moment in the entire finale where she goes on TV as the president and says she did nothing wrong and she's not resigning. And in the same day, Congress votes to impeach her. This is the one time in the entire episode that I could say the writers actually did comedy correctly. But at the end of the day, the show did get everything right that it needed to. It just did it in a very sloppy way. Now, is this ending as bad as Sopranos or Game of Thrones? No. Is it as good as something like Breaking Bad? No. Really, it's more like True Blood. The ending doesn't want to make me rip my hair out, but it's nothing to brag about. And because of that ending, it takes the whole show down a peg for me. So as far as the finale of The Boys goes, I'm going to give it 2.5 out of 5 stars, which is a shame because it brings the whole show down. But as a whole, I would still recommend The Boys for people to watch, and I would give the entire show 3.5 out of 5 stars. So, thank you guys for watching The Derek Ruby Show, and I will see you next time.